What do people from southern China gonna do on a Qingming Festival? During the Qingming Festival, a great activity to find ancestors' tombs is taking place on the mountains in Guangdong. Perhaps if you ask them to wake up for breakfast at 8 o'clock, they may not be able to wake up, but if Qingming Festival is about sacrificing enough to find the graves of their ancestors, they can start getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning and start preparing. Because after several generations of sedimentation, there are a lot of ancestral graves to be swept. Moreover, the tombs of our ancestors all located on the mountains. After a year, the roads on the mountains were already covered with trees and grass. The two most frequently heard sentences at this time of year were "I remember I went up from here the previous year." "I remember it's this tree, there's no reason to get it wrong." Many oolong incidents happen because our ancestors also had their neighbors, so some confused people may mistake their ancestors and clean up the graves of others' ancestors. Some people say that by erecting a tombstone, we can find their graves. But due to customs, there is also a tradition of placing tombstones. It is said that during times of war, only wealthy families could erect tombstones, and tomb raiders were also quite rampant. In order to prevent the destruction of ancestral graves, it is better not to erect tombstones. Some people also say that during times of war, in order to protect the safety of future generations, tombstones are not erected. This custom has continued to this day. Look at how great our ancestors are, and when they pass away, they will still consider their descendants. The worship of ancestors during the Qingming Festival is a top priority and is highly valued. You may not go home during the Spring Festival, but you must be present during the festival. The offerings vary from place to place, including roasted pigs, roasted chicken, and other pastries, but one thing in common is that there is no rain or wind. The first thing to do after finding our ancestors' graves is to clean up the weeds. Due to the heavy workload, the tools we brought were relatively simple, and even the knives were broken. However, it was quite easy for our family to pay respects during the Qingming Festival because most of our ancestors' tombs have been moved to our orchard. Perhaps they thought our fruits were delicious. I hope they can bless this year's persimmons with a good price. When it comes to blessing, I can't help but laugh. Just now, I saw the neighboring villagers holding a bunch of lottery tickets directly in front of the grave to test whether our ancestors blessed us with wealth. Some villagers also made a wish list and read it out in front of their ancestors' grave. This list is even longer than the supermarket purchase list. Perhaps for friends from other regions, Qingming Festival is a time to mourn our past and remember our sorrows. However, for friends from Guangdong, Qingming Festival has become a large-scale wish-making event, with people seeking wealth, love, career, and education by praying to their pasted relatives. Anyway, at this time, our ancestors are omnipotent. They just passed away, not become immortals. If they can still hear what we say, and they must have cursed us loudly. However, the customs and habits are like this, but it does not mean that we do not respect our ancestors. As far as I can remember, except for my grandfather's tomb, all other ancestors lived in a short pile of soil. After several generations, we cannot intuitively feel the sadness of losing them, but we have never stopped remembering them. You are afraid of the so-called ghosts, who others long for and never see again. Standing in front of our ancestors' graves, we understand where we come from and where we will go in the future. I once watched a movie that said that death is not the end of life and is forgotten. Lost loved ones in heaven should enjoy another kind of happiness. Perhaps they have never left us, but have just changed their ways to accompany us, silently watching us grow up, silently watching us walk the path they once walked, and sending their blessings. I don't know when Qingming Festival began to be no longer just a day for ancestor worship, but also a festival for ethnic gatherings. On this day, the scattered bloodlines of our ancestors from all over the country gathered together, and we drank happily. We inherited one of our ancestors. The same will and spirit, one Qingming every year, one nostalgia every year. While remembering our ancestors, we are also innovating ourselves. Unity of our relatives who are spreading all around the world is the best way to keep our ancestors in the present world. Just like they still live by our side, as Chinese people, we can all think of our roots and never forget our roots. We always know where our roots are. Qingming Festival is truly a fulfilling and meaningful day.